Welcome to Heist. I'm Bradley Hackworth, joined by Jonathan Ems, otherwise known as Doc.
Hello, fellow humans.
And today we are going to be covering The Wrong Guy and, wonderfully enough, The Stir of Echoes. The reason that I'm saying wonderfully enough is not because it is the top tier film of all time or anything like that. It's just because it's really fun to cover horror movies with Doc.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm not 100% sure I would call this a horror movie.
I was gonna say the same thing, but let's save that for the second part and let's jump in on The Wrong Guy. Written by this really, really fun movie. Oh my god, this was a fun movie. The writer's room for this is like Deadpool before Deadpool. It was so much fun. But The Wrong Guy, written by Dave Foley, David Anthony Higgins, and Jay Kogen. Directed by David Steinberg, and starring Dave Foley, David Anthony Higgins, Jennifer Tilly, and Colm Feore, with Joe Flaherty, Dan Redican, Alan Scarfe, and Kenneth Welsh. Doc, why don't you give us the synopsis going into it?
Well, I mean, the really quick and dirty of if you know who the Kids in the Hall sketch comedy group are, this is essentially one really, really long sketch, Kids in the Hall bit that somehow does not get old after 5 minutes. In fact, it stays pretty damn hilarious for the entire 90-minute run of this movie. It's about a corporate vice president dude who doesn't get his promotion, openly threatens to kill his boss over not getting the promotion, and then barges into his boss's office to find a body there. His boss has been killed. He panics, he goes on the run. Absolutely no one is chasing him. They know he didn't do it. They have video footage of the actual murderer doing the actual murder. He's on the run for nothing. That's the movie. And it's goddamn hilarious. And a lot of Alfred Hitchcock references. A lot of tosses to North by Northwest and The Man Who Knew Too Much, that kind of stuff. It's not quite a Hitchcock satire, but there's a lot of nods to the Hitchcock style of suspense adventure in this, and it's just a wildly fun movie.
And while we're covering it, go ahead, call those out, because I'm pretty sure I missed a great deal of them.
I mean, the biggest one that comes to mind is at the very end with the miniature golf Statue of Liberty head. That's a direct parody from North by Northwest.
Okay, fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
All right. The opening titles with this one are outstandingly fun with like horror thriller elements, and Foley rolls in with the amazing entitled optimism. And the fact that nobody knows who he was it never got old.
Yeah.
When he gets into that boardroom and right off the bat loses the promotion, and man, his reaction. What? I'm sorry. What?
It's not even just kind of like a, weird reaction. It is because like in the middle of everyone like congratulating the guy who got the promotion, he's still sitting there going, what did you say? I think I misheard you.
Which is how he played that off was truly hilarious. I absolutely give it that. But then the way that he freaks out about it, and he's like, I dated the wrong daughter?
Right, exactly. Yes.
Oh my god.
He's like, my god, man, I'm
parody was perfect.
My god, man, I am engaged to marry your daughter. Yes, but he's engaged to marry my favorite daughter. Like that. It's like, god damn.
Yeah, that one. Ooh, that hurt. And the assistant letting everybody listen to him cry because he's got like and the way that he was crying.
Right, yes.
I forgot how hilarious Dave Foley is.
Oh, truly, yes.
Which I didn't really take a look, but he kind of just pops in as side characters and things now.
He does, yeah. He had a stint. In fact, I mentioned this before. The TV show News Radio. He was the star of that for 3 seasons. Basically he finished off Kids in the Hall, I think he basically did this movie and like a couple other side characters, and then he did news radio for 3 seasons, and now he seems to be kind of semi-retired. He'll pop up every once in a while. He was
That's
the
kind of what it
voice of the
seems like.
he was the voice of the main character in Bug's Life, so that's probably one of his biggest credits since Kids in the Hall.
That and like, he was one of the main characters in A Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser and Elisa
right,
Silverstone.
I remember that. Yeah,
That was a good one for him.
mm-hmm.
I love that. Like when he goes up, he's like, "I want to see Nagel now. You have to wait." Okay,
right.
He goes and sits down and it's like, "I've already read all these. I'm not waiting." That there, that just added like 30 seconds of hilarity into the runtime, and good.
Yeah,
God.
this was one of those movies where it's like, yeah, like you said, it's very Deadpoolish, in which they kind of clearly they brainstormed like, what can we do here? There were no bad ideas, and even if something shouldn't have worked, Foley made it work.
Yes, that is the thing. Like the people who were in this, the people who played the major parts of this, they nailed everything.
Yeah.
Hands down. I really appreciated that. Finds the dead, Foley finds the dead body, freaks out, like pulls the knife out, tries to put the knife back in, like, and the whole time he is screaming hilariously.
I don't know if there is, like, I assume the internet being what it is, somewhere out there is a list of things of appropriate things to do should you happen to be unlucky enough to find a dead body. He does every single one of those things wrong.
Yeah, you find a dead body. The thing to do, like, if the internet says something, if it says anything other than back up,
right, back away and call the police.
3 numbers. Yeah.
He doesn't do that. He stands in place. He screams. He runs to the body and pulls the murder weapon out of the body and holds it in his hand, and then screams and then tries to put it back in the body. Like, I think that's kind of the inside joke.
I think that's been ripped off a few times.
You think? I don't remember seeing it.
I don't know if it's first here, but yeah, I've seen that in a few different places.
Okay, all right. But yeah, I think that's kind of like the inside joke on this, is the movie's called The Wrong Guy to suggest that he's not the killer that they're looking for, and I think in truth it's about the fact that he does everything wrong. Like, that's the main joke of this movie, is that of all the possible things he could do in every scenario, he picks the absolute wrong thing.
I do think it's really weird, the cover of this movie. It has 5 guys, like the usual suspects type thing.
Yeah.
And that
none of those guys in the poster. Yeah, none of the other people. There's Dave Foley and 4 other guys in a lineup. Those 4 other guys are not in the movie at all. Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now going, who are these guys?
Yeah. They don't even have Colm Feore in there, and he is the actual killer. So
yeah, which I do not remember this movie. I do not remember the marketing for this movie. I don't remember opting out of seeing this movie. I just don't remember this at all. This was
that's
not
the
marketed.
Thing. I incorrectly thought that this movie came out in like 2001, 2002, because that's when I saw it for the first time, when I found it in the video store. It actually came out in 97. So this movie had been around for half a decade before I even noticed it sitting on a video store shelf. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
And I'll give it its praise. I will say that it was ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that, like, Foley goes into the elevator, runs away, is covered in blood. Nobody cares. Not even a little bit. They're like, "Oh, you dropped your knife, sir."
Right,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, that's not mine." It's like, "What is covered in the same blood that you're covered in?" Like, I mean, the level of, oh my God, that was killing me. How much the assassin and Foley kept running into each other. That was one of the best running gags that I've seen in a long time.
Very Hitchcockian as well. I think that happened a lot in Man Who Knew Too Much, I think, was also one of those things.
See, you're saying Hitchcock, but for me, that felt way Woody Allen. Like, if Woody Allen would have directed this, if I would have found that out, I would have been like, oh, yep. You see what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah, no, I absolutely do. You're right. Yeah.
The fake sewer. I gotta say this. I don't see this. I've never seen this in a movie, but that fake sewer got me. 100% completely fooled me. I was like, ooh,
No,
that would work on me in real life.
what I think is great about the assassin character, the fact of like how much of his like professional assassin expertise is all about like the James Bond gadgetry and subterfuge. Like, how did he kill the guy? He stuck a knife in his neck. That was it. The killing part was not at all a big deal for him. The big deal was the escape route that involved like all the props and gadgets and like 3 costume changes. Like, that was what made this guy the expert assassin that he is that he is the theater kid to end all theater kids, basically.
I'll give you that. The oh my god, when Foley throws that knife off the bridge and it lands on the police boat. Good god. After a few seconds of watching this movie, I should have been prepared for everything that was coming, but every single thing that happened, I was like, wait, what? And every single time it worked 100%. This was a good movie. But they have the video evidence that Foley is innocent, and
Why do they have the video evidence?
The way they keep watching it and just laughing at Foley, the news coverage keeps like they keep bringing it up. The newspaper's laughing it off. You got like the guy who's basically kind of ripping off Unsolved Mysteries, just watching the video, and you're not gonna believe this guy.
Right.
I was having so much fun with this. Oh my god. Okay, the kind of gags that I'm talking about showing up in this movie. Dave Foley, on the run, kind of, jumps into a dumpster to hide, and you get a group of cops that show up. They start playing games in the alley, and then they have like a cop barbershop quartet that Dave Foley's in the dumpster singing along to.
And you got to admit that song they were singing is a banger. Like that,
I enjoyed the hell out of that. I like barbershop quartets though. I wish that was still a more common thing. I know it's still a thing. I wish it was a more common, like that guy who hired the barbershop quartet to go and help him quit his job.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah. That is
fantastic. Top tier. Like if they do not exist for any other reason than to do that, that is an industry I will donate to as if it were charity.
I can give you the name of an a cappella quartet band that you might enjoy.
Yeah, send that over. That I'm about to have a 12-hour drive, so I could use some things to goof around to. The assassin changing to Plan B over the phone call and talking a little bit about Foley's like, who is this guy?
Right, yeah.
And the CEO's like, well, it's not him. Like, no. But who is he? He's like, no. I just want you to say that it's not him.
Right, yeah. Just admit it's not him. Admit it's not him. Like. It's important to me that you admit that I'm right. Very corporate behavior.
But honestly, I don't think I've ever seen something like that ever happen where like, because you have like a lot of examples. Somebody's like, it's this guy. It's like, I don't think it's that guy. You must be looking at somebody like
right.
That,
yeah.
Having to be like, no. I need you to tell me. I need you to admit to me that how different that was really worked for me. I like that we never got to meet Constance. I thought that was the CEO's daughter. I like that we never got to meet her because we never had to sympathize with her. So I thought that was a good call.
Yep.
Yeah. But he calls her, ditches his identification, and then heads to a fancy restaurant covered in blood.
Yeah.
But this is where I got to start talking about the detectives, which I think you should be the first one to talk about the detectives.
The detectives, man. Okay, so this guy's got it wired. That was
another one of the new kids, right?
No.
Oh,
I know I've seen him before in other things, but I can't remember what. He's definitely an established comedy actor. I just can never remember what I've seen him in before for some reason. But yeah, so these homicide
David
detectives.
Anthony Higgins, he is one of the writers of the film.
Okay, so he was on the writing staff. So okay. But yeah, these homicide cops are. Well, we have two. We've got the grizzled old cop that, the usual standard of you got the old veteran, and then you've got the young guy. And the young guy is very much like, all right, let's do this. We're gonna catch this guy. And the grizzled old guy is like, hey, slow your roll, youngin'. But they take this a step further. where this veteran detective literally has no intention of trying. He's like, no, this is too hard. I don't want to do this. But his main motivation is that he does, in fact, have an expense account. So he's going to use that expense account to its fullest. So when he hears that a man covered in blood showed up to a fancy restaurant, just a short distance away from the murder scene, he's like, oh, make reservations and see. And we'll talk to the staff. Yeah, we'll talk to the staff, see if anybody saw anything. But while we're there, let's he says have him order whatever the killer ordered. We want to really get into this guy's head.
And that kicks on a theme that goes through the entire movie, because
yes,
as all of this is happening, manicurist, going to plays, getting a helicopter, every single thing. Mobile unit with that at a certain point we catch the detective in the shower. Like, it's
right. Yes, every advancement that this detective makes in this case is 100% motivated to seeing how much he can get away with putting on his expense account.
And then this is like Rick and Morty level writing before Rick and Morty. But the assassin, like, he's driving away, Foley goes on the bus, and then the assassin and Foley see each other. Well, the assassin sees Foley. Foley's just kind of checking his own reflection on the bus. Right, and the assassin panics. But the truly hilarious and brilliant piece of writing that's in there, that was jazz. Some kind of jazz. Like, they didn't even try. They were just like, okay, here we go. We gotta, let's go. But, oh my God, it was hilarious. Makes it Crow's Nest?
Oh, Crow's Nest, the stop. The proposed town, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he catches a ride because he has almost no money, and he gets to the town of Crow's Nest. And then he gets there, and the guy's like, yeah, I've been driving this bus route for years. This is Crow's Nest. There's that broken branch. There's that tire. Crow's Nest.
Right, yeah. And he's like, but there's nothing out here. There's, where's the town of Crow's Nest? He goes, oh, Crow's Nest isn't a town. It's a proposed town. Anyway, this is your stop. Get out.
And while he's doing this, the detectives go off and hit a strip joint.
Right,
for clues. And I thought we were going to get a hardcore, like, tripping balls scene when Foley is in the woods and he's eating all the berries and just, like, walking across things. Like,
again, doing everything wrong. He's eating all the red berries off of all the holly branches. He's picking up random mushrooms off the ground and chewing on them. Yes.
And
it just keeps escalating. It just keeps escalating. Like, you keep sitting there going like, oh God. Like, even though you're watching a movie where the main character probably isn't going to die, you're still kind of going, what are you doing every moment?
But then, oh my God, he's so inconsequential at work that he's getting praised just for not doing his job.
Right.
Which, they point out corporate movies have we seen that when they literally stop doing anything, things get better?
Right,
because
exactly.
A big part of corporate work is to try to just busy work. But busy work gets in the way of things. It's always one of those messages that they toss into movies all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's no mystery to anybody who's been involved in any part of the corporate world that you could make a company about 50% more efficient and at the same time save them roughly millions upon millions of dollars per month, not just year, but per month, if you just fire the board of directors and let their assistants keep doing what they were doing.
I will agree with that. Checking into the motel, and I wrote it down, like, okay, he steals the assassin's Jeep, walking through the woods, runs into the assassin's Jeep, steals it, and then goes and checks into the motel the assassin is staying at. I mean, my God, just, and you cannot believe anything in this movie because it is not that kind of movie, but it is fun.
There also we get this sort of routine because the manager of this motel is another Kids in the Hall guy, Kevin McDonald, and they do this check-in routine that is straight out of freaking vaudeville. It is amazing. Where, I'd like to buy a room, please. What? I'd like to buy a room. Oh, one bed or two. One bed is fine, thank you. Like,
No, that did
yeah.
crack me up, and I mean Kevin McDonald in that position, like that was the right amount of Kevin McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
Shootout with the killer and Foley zigging and zagging out of there. Like there's a shit like he's not any part of this shootout, and he is running down the road like they're shooting at him, and he's just magically dodging everything like he's the most capable guy in the world. It was funny. And I just love the detective. I'm never gonna find you. You're too hard. I give up.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Literally just
good.
like that easy.
Yeah. He's and then what was the clue that came in? That's when they say they found him at a hotel, and he's like, oh, okay, great.
And then with his unlimited resources, he's like, oh god, yeah, no, let's go to Cincinnati. I haven't seen my sister in months.
Right.
Like, just you're looking at a very, very bad cop. But it's the kind of bad cop that, most
I
of
could
us would
live
be a little
with
more
this.
okay with.
Yeah, I could live with this kind of bad cop. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, right. And then Foley running, and then he jumps onto that train, which the first time he jumps onto that train and then he completely whiffs, funny.
Again, this is practically Charlie Chaplin level humor in this whole bit here of him trying to get on the train, because first he jumps on the
Tunes, man.
Yeah. First he jumps on the train and falls out of the train on the other side. Then he tries to run up and catch the train from the caboose, barely manages to hold on to it, and is constantly bumping his face because his feet are dragging behind him, and so he's just constantly going thump, thump, thump against the back of the train until finally the train stops because the train driver's got to get out and change his own track, try to flip the track himself. So
I have maybe a real. Help me out here and tell me if you think I'm right here. This is live action Looney Tunes. Dave Foley is basically playing Daffy Duck. Like it seems like it's like that. That's how this was written.
I mean, maybe. I don't think you're too far off.
It's pretty much perfect. I mean, gets onto the train, eats a whole thing of tainted ham, and then gets into the hospital. And I love how he tried to do the usual suspects type thing.
Right, yes. We got a usual suspects reference there.
Jones.
Yeah.
Enema bag, Jones. I'm not going to stop laughing about that for a while. Then he steals the old man's clothes and then winds up dressing up basically as Tobey Maguire in Seabiscuit as he walks out of there. Looked just like him.
Yep. And then he turns around and goes and decides to just steal the clothes from like 30 other different patients so he can just sort of root through them to find an outfit that he likes.
Good time.
Yep.
But then the assassin shows up at the hospital to take out Foley, and cops are like, "We need you to save this man's life." And then the he's not a doctor, so he can't save this man's life. Then you get the cops comforting him, like, "He's a good man. He's really taking this hard."
Right.
And I had a good time with that. And then hitchhiking with the conspiracy man.
That's the thing. That's another thing. Actually, that was one of the things about this movie, because for all intents and purposes, the assassin character is the straight man in this. Like, if Foley is the comedy foil, Colm Feore is the straight man. He's the guy who is the serious killer, who is having to deal with this wacky loony protagonist that is Foley. But they are not afraid to get him involved in the comedy too. Like that whole bit with the cops and, and having to pretend to be a surgeon and failing at saving a cop. And then, in that, like, for the guy who's supposed to be the serious part of the movie, he gets plenty of unserious shit too. And to his credit, he plays it seriously. Like he's like, he's like the nod to Airplane, where you have a crazy comedy, but everyone's acting seriously. That's him in this movie.
I'll give you that. Then we get our introduction to Jennifer Tilly into the movie. and Foley like winds up on a farm.
And the heavens opened and the angels sang. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, then he's sitting here, he's trying to come up with a name, but he's just looking around the car and everything's like, and he just gives his name.
Right, yeah.
That was
Nelson.
fun.
My name's
I had a good
Nelson,
time with that. Having Jennifer Tilly be a narcoleptic driver, we've had that gag, but it still worked.
Well, I liked how they also they kept playing it. Like, this was usually when you have a character like that, it's kind of more like a Chekhov's narcolepsy, where they'll only the attacks will only happen at the points they need to happen in the plot. That didn't happen here. She passes out in almost every scene that she's in.
Yeah, and it makes sense every time. So
yeah,
I mean, I got nothing on that one. But she is very much a train wreck, and Foley is attempting empathy. Which, and then she invites him to stay as a handyman on a farm. I'm like, Miss Tilly, look at him.
Right. Well, and this, I think, is one of my favorite jokes in the entire thing. When she's asking him, can you stay and work? And one of my this is one of those lines that I will think about and giggle at random moments, in my life, where he says, like, well, I can't lift anything heavy. And she says, oh, do you have a bad back? And he goes, no.
I just can't.
Yeah.
But this might be my favorite part of it. Oh, your brother's gay. And she loses her mind laughing. She's like, no, he's a Marine. And this man has the prettiest, pinkest room with like posters of shirtless dudes on the ceiling and everything. And Foley's like, okay.
Let me tell you something. One of my and this is one of those moments where parenthood is almost worthwhile. For this most recent viewing of this movie, I watched it with my son, and on that he's a Marine line, I've never seen my son laugh harder in his life.
Good moments like that. That's nice. But oh my God. Tilly's dad kicks him off the farm, but he offers to step up for the bank because he built a fence with glue. Again, another good moment for this movie.
He's just sitting there with the Elmer's glue going like, oops.
Perfect. I mean,
and then he even ends the conversation.
Perfect level of goof in this movie. Just perfect.
Yeah. And he ends the conversation with like, well, the fence ain't gonna glue itself, and gets back to work.
His confidence was wildly hilarious. But then I got to see, okay, all right, now I know why Doc wanted to watch this movie. Jennifer Tilly in the doorway.
Hey, you know what?
And that was a funny gag. That was a good gag. I mean,
it was.
Like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, let me turn the lights off because I can't see you, or on because I can't see you. He's like, never mind.
Yeah. The light is so harsh. Yeah. Click, turns it off. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that was a little too funny. I enjoyed the hell out of that. Oh my God, the assassin fighting the dog for that rat, and then just, protein.
That's our juxtaposition. That's the juxtaposition. Like our hard-bitten assassin is basically out in the elements. It's raining. He's having to fight animals for food. Meanwhile, Nelson, the dork, is sleeping soundly in that very nice, comfy, frilly bed.
And the cops have gone to go see Moby with escorts, with taxpayer-funded escorts.
That's right. God bless America.
Good God. But then, oh my, like, I love this. Like, when Foley goes to work at the bank, he's like, and your outfit is in the locker. And he comes out wearing that clerk's uniform from like the 30s.
Exactly. Yep.
Loved that. I was having fun with that. And then Tilly bring in lunch and it was SpaghettiOs.
Right.
Dude, they literally, like, it's not that they didn't pull any punches. It's that they threw everything at the wall. And it's kind of weird how much stuck.
Yeah. Yep. Which I think, yeah. And it's all in the performance. We've got all of these comedy powerhouses. You've got Foley. You've got Joe Flaherty in this one. He's an SCTV alumni from years ago. These are all hardcore, like, comedy actors who know how to take the dumbest premise and make it hilarious. And Jennifer Tilly, who, like, between this and Liar Liar, we do not give Jennifer Tilly enough credit for her comedy chops. Like, she does a lot of good dramatic stuff, but her comedy is on fucking point too, and she doesn't get enough of it.
I gotta think that given the fact that she is one of the primary voices of Family Guy, I think people know she's funny.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that. Okay, good point. I take it back.
She actually has a huge career in the comedy industry, and
right.
I think, but yeah, like a lot of her movies, they don't let her bring the comedy in the movies, but she does nail it every time. Because I'm thinking about the movies that I'm thinking of her, Biodome, Bound, The Wrong Guy.
Yeah.
I mean, she was funny in The Wrong Guy.
Yep.
Michael with John Travolta.
Oh, I never saw that one.
Pretty good one, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, yeah, I gotta give that. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I have no bad memories of that. I remember really enjoying that movie.
Okay.
Maybe we'll give that one. And then we get the newspaper owner who's like the rival to the bank and he wants to buy it. And their whole little despicable mustache twirling thing. Farmer Brown.
They literally reverse it. In every other one of these kinds of movies, it's the evil banker trying to take out the family farm. In this movie, it's the giant conglomerate farmer trying to take out the little family-owned bank.
Which I gotta say,
that was gold.
It really was. The tag on this scene was perfect. To the broccoli field, Jedediah. That being how they ended the scene was just amazing for me. And kind of one of those very, very, very relatable things is the bank owner being like, and this is the chair. It replaced the old chair. I just don't like this chair. Like, all of that somewhat unnecessary, but highly hilarious. Okay. The walk with Tilly and Foley through the farm. And in that grass.
My God. Yes.
Go ahead.
God, that was beautiful.
I went on a run. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. The way it's kind of like he's starting to realize that he's in love. She's clearly attached to him. She's been, a lost puppy dog throughout this entire thing that we've seen her. So she's imprinted on him, and they're having a very nice romantic walk. And this is the point where he thinks, all right, maybe this is the real thing. I got to level with her. I'm going to confess to her that I am a wanted man for murder. And just as he's about to start his confession, she has another narcoleptic fit, passes out. But they are in a field of like lilies that are like waist high.
That's just grass, lilies, dude.
It was just grass. I feel like it was something, maybe alfalfa or something like that. But it's waist high is what it is. And he just keeps walking as he's telling the story about how he's been on the run. She's already unconscious several steps behind him. And after it takes a moment for him to finally turn around dramatically to say, like, wanted for murder. And she's gone. She's just vanished because she's asleep somewhere under the eye line. And you see him go, he starts wandering aimlessly going, Lynn, where are you? Where are you? Like,
I liked it. I had a lot of fun with that. The newspaper owner realizes who Foley is and then writes his own story in his own paper about all of it.
Right.
Saying that he's the murderer and all this. And and he does get a good chance. He gets a chance to tell Tilly hinting a little bit more. And she's like, I'm a good judge of character. Well, except for that one guy who was, recon for aliens. Well, he just wanted to get in my pants. What a little side story right there.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely
it was a whole bunch. It was too much to unpack there. So let's just take it and run.
Yes. Excuse me. Then we're back into the mobile command unit with the detectives and Farmer Brown. And Farmer Brown gives his, his evil laugh.
Right.
And I like that the detective actually went, why are you laughing like that? Like what? Oh, weird and creepy. That was
Farmer Brown's
probably my favorite line from the detective. Just really subtle, everything like that. But I also think that might have been his only actual bit of acting in the movie.
Oh,
Everything
okay, I
else
see
was
what you-
just like fun punchlines, but that one, he actually delivered real acting, which was weird because nobody else was doing that except for Colm, maybe.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that was always fun. And okay, the paper, like we said, the paper owner makes up that story, and then that half inspirational speech, which just
Oh, right. Yeah.
thank God they actually just let that be a joke because man, it was a joke. Like, the bank has been here for you. I signed that loan for you. Sure, I had to foreclose on your farm, but I mean that's business. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I thought that was a
Well,
lot
and,
of
and
fun.
I love the whole like, but you have, but your teller is a murderer, and he's like, Nelson, tell these people you're not a murderer. Oh, I'm not a murderer. I'm an alleged murderer.
Gotta love that honesty, I guess, But let's see. Oh, this is where that work outfit pays off from the bank because they wind up getting on a convention that everybody's kind of dressed like that.
Oh my god,
Pretty lucky.
That gag. First of all, the first delivery on it was just like, haha, clever, and then the second delivery on it with the next bus that the killer gets on,
Emotionally disturbed veterans retreat.
Right. That's one of those things where you got to ask yourself, what was the anatomy of building that joke? Did they start with the emotionally disturbed veterans, or did they start with the barbershop quartet and then just kept running with it? Because that payoff was too good to think to yourself, like, was that the point beforehand, or was that just a happy accident?
Don't care. It was good. It was fun. It was funny. But then Foley and Tilly go on the run, and they we need to stop and get supplies. Oh, don't worry, I have condoms. Well, not that, but good.
Right? Yeah.
so many
always
incredible
the best
one-liners
on
this one.
When you're sitting there going like, I'm getting some mixed signal here. I don't know whether she's really into me or not. When she brings up the condoms, you're like, excellent. That mystery is solved.
I know what this trip is going to be.
Right, exactly.
But then Foley leaves Constance over the answering machine. Again, I'm glad that we never got to see, hear, or meet her in any way, because this movie was not about empathy for her. Even though, man, did I have empathy for her if I would have met her.
Right, yes.
I like so the cop and the assassin and everything has the Mexican standoff. He's like,
Mexican standoff.
That's not a Mexican stand. And you get a little lesson about it. And the cop's like, okay, what if I put my gun down and then I leave? What's that called? Like, you're just a yellow coward. It's like, cool.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Go ahead.
I know, but I do like this is the point too. Like, now we start getting more. Like, it was after this that the sort of like bicker / banter between Tilly and Foley starts happening, when he's trying to say like, go run away, like love is like a gun to your head, and she's like, what are you saying? And then the killer goes like, he's saying I have a gun to your head, and she's like, oh well, that was convoluted. And the rest of the movie is the two of them bickering like an old married couple.
It worked.
And again, Jennifer Tilly holding her own with these like longtime comedy powerhouses, and she doesn't get enough credit for.
I'll give you that. But the thing is, in this moment, like, what I thought was hilarious is they're having this whole speech while you can literally see the gun under Foley's armpit, and she's like, that was so confusing. He's like, I said there was a gun here. She's like, you said it was. I gun to my head, and I'm like, hey. Okay, I've had this argument. Okay, they did a good job with this one. And then they're like, back to the detectives, and they find out a little bit. Like, what was it? Oh, the manicurist was the one who gives them a little hint. Like, where are they going? Like, they're going to Mexico.
Right? Yeah, sounds like they're going to Mexico, and yeah. And he says, yeah, and you said that a manicurist wouldn't contribute to this case. She's on the expense report now too.
Yeah, I enjoyed the fact that so you get Tilly, Foley, and the assassin in the car. They're driving down the road, and the assassin's like, "You're some form of super cop," and all this, and Foley's like, "Hmm,
Right.
yes, I guess it's super cop Nelson has finally met his match." The awkwardness of that, and then yeah, the assassin like, "Oh shit." um. I enjoyed the misdirect of Mr. Tiny's not being a person or his place or anything like that, but instead it was a mini golf course that was
Right.
I'm not gonna say that I hit the floor laughing, but it just that made me happy. I thought that was really clever. Oh, and then of course we get the sleeping spell, the narcoleptic stuff that
Oh,
immediately
right.
pays off because that's how.
Oh, and they even like they even full on up call it up because on top of all the times we've seen her fall asleep, including while driving, even as the killer is kidnapping them, he says to her, "You drive." And Foley goes, "Oh, bad idea." And he's like, "Shut up and get in the car."
Yeah, they paid that off and they paved the way on that one pretty well, I gotta say.
Yep.
Then, like they're going into the mini golf, and the assassin knocks out Foley and then picks him up.
Yeah.
Like that is like,
Because
wait a minute, you're awake? He's like, for a while now. It's like, why have I been carrying you? I thought you wanted to, dude. That is like Daffy Duck, 100%.
Yes, yes, you are correct. That those are definitely Looney Tunes style jokes for sure.
Hey, we get all the way through. We get to the CEO. Foley thinks, oh, the CEO is gonna pay him off and save our lives. I thought the gag about the passport, where he wanted a Swiss passport, but the CEO gives him a passport to Iraq instead.
Right. Yeah. And he's like,
they were all out.
They were all out. Yeah. They were.
I'm sorry, that was too funny. Then when they commandeer that, or the detective commandeers that scooter, just one of the final little bits of this cop being just the worst, man.
Commandeering a mobility scooter from a disabled person, you know. So,
and then what was this with the standoff with the cops, and the assassin gets shot, and he's just annoyed by it.
And immediately afterwards, like the cop is in the bullhorn going, sorry, one of our guys got a little overzealous."
Correct. The chopper conversation is like, I don't want to. He's like, or Foley's like, and a chopper. He's like, I don't want a chopper. Well, the chopper's already on the way. If I see a chopper, I will shoot. Oh my god, dude!
If you let one of the hostages go, we'll cancel the chopper.
I mean, my god. But this is what you were talking about, on the ledge and that epic drop, and like where the guy's acting like he's gonna die, but instead, I fell on my keys.
Right. Yes.
Oh my! What is this movie?
Genius is what it is. It's unfiltered insanity.
Agreed.
Dancing on the line of genius.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And then, well, I guess you'll be leaving me. Oh, okay. And then he tries to walk away. Perfect. Well, you don't have to leave. Oh, great.
Right.
Oh, the optimism.
Yeah. And then like we can go back and live the quiet life in that little farm town. I hate the farm town. Back to Chicago than it is.
Yep. But then there's also that trying to describe an epiphany, and she's like, an epiphany is like, no, I had a realization. Yeah, an epiphany. No, more like a spiritual
like
awakening
on
or a realization, like on a deep level. She's like, an epiphany.
You're describing an epiphany. Yeah.
This movie was funny. And that weird ass proposal, it matched. It matched the characters, it matched the movie. Mm-hmm. I thought it was fun. I really had a good time.
It's one of my favorites. It's like I own the DVD to this movie. So that's how much I have loved it since I first saw it.
All right, give us your final thoughts on The Wrong Guy.
My final thoughts on The Wrong Guy. Look, here's the thing. I cannot in all good conscience, say this is a must-see film by the standards that that I have set for this on the show. I cannot, in good conscience, say that your media literacy culture cannot be benefited by this. That said, holy shit, it is so goddamn funny. You probably should see it anyway because it is good. It is a good enough movie that it will not be a waste of time for you.
Agreed. Jumping the gun toward to the movie fight. Realistically, this one is going to win round 3. I will recommend everybody go see this. Stir of Echoes, pretty much everybody, but there are certain people that just aren't going to care. The wrong guy, you can fade out, fade in, go to the bathroom, not even pause the movie, come back, and you are going to be having a fantastic time.
Yeah.
Stir of Echoes is a little triggering to some people.
I could see that for sure, yeah.
So I like given that. All right, for part 2, we're going to be covering Stir of Echoes, which is going to go with our October theme of trying to do more horror, thriller, supernatural type stuff to pair up with our movies. So, Stir of Echoes, written by Richard Matheson and David Koepp, directed by David Koepp, starring Kevin Bacon, Zachary David Koepp, not the same type of Koepp, like different spelling, so no nepotism on that one. Kathryn, Erbe, and Jennifer Morrison, which it took me so long to realize that was Jennifer Morrison.
Yeah, it took me a while too. Like I was like, wait, she's familiar. I know who that is. I've seen her. Yeah, and I had to go look it up too, and I was like, oh, okay, that's who that is.
Oh yeah, no. Once I realized, I was like, oh, yeah. I didn't realize I knew her so young.
Yeah, and one the crazy thing too was like I even had to go look it up because I even looked at the credits. Like at the end of the movie, reading the credits, didn't recognize her name in the credits because in the credits she's Jenny Morrison, and that didn't click for me. I still had to go look it up.
Oh, fair enough. I didn't even look at the credits on that one. I just went to the IMDb and everything like that. But no, I took my time because I'd already seen this movie when I was younger.
Oh yeah, same here.
But yeah, with Illeana Douglas, Kevin Dunn, Connor O'Farrell, and Liza Weil, which, interestingly enough, one of the characters in this movie was Liza Weil, and one of the actors in Liza Weil. I'm wondering if they got that because of that, or if they changed a character name to kind of do something like that. But this movie was based off of a book that was written in 1958.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
So, I know. So as I was watching it, I was like, dude, this is The Shining.
See, and there were moments of that I thought that too. Especially when we had like later on the cop who like recognizes the kid, and I'm just like, that's straight out of the fucking Shining right there.
Every part of this, so much. I mean, I did not know I was going to say something so jacked up when I suggested that we cover this movie. The Shining is Stir of Echoes in a hotel.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah. Timeline wise, if the book came out then yeah, then Stir of Echoes was first. So that means yeah, The Shining is the ripoff.
Which is kind of weird to say, isn't it?
Yeah, although not. I mean,
well, let's go over the comparison real quick. You have the child and the father who have the connection to the supernatural, but not the mother.
Right.
You have the child in the little red jacket that meets the black man who shares the gift with him, talks to the mother about the gift.
Yep.
All of that is in both of these movies.
Yep.
But I haven't read the book, so I can't say.
And the mother's main concern about all this is the fact that her husband is acting crazy.
Yep. Yeah. We got snapping. We got all of these things. We got a little bit of psychological stuff going. This is like The Shining is Stir of Echoes if it went a slightly different direction. Right. But we've talked about this many times on this channel. Dances with Wolves, or Avatar is Dances with Wolves in Space.
Right.
Like, you can go through a million examples of all of that.
Yep.
But
There's nothing wrong with rehashing an old idea as long as you are bringing something new to it. And that is definitely what is happening here. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, you go back to like writing exercises back in school and college and stuff like that. Everybody starts a story about a pen on a desk.
Yep.
And everybody writes a different story.
Exactly.
Even though it's all about the same thing.
Yep.
No, that's one of those. Yeah, you kind of see. You got to decide on how you feel about it. I gotta say though, for all the horror movies, thriller movies, supernatural things that I watch, this movie's opening, is perfect.
I'm trying to think of any other movie I've seen where they've done this thing where they start with the little kid talking to the ghost. But when the kid is talking to the ghost, he's talking directly to the camera.
Incredibly powerful. I
don't.
love that.
Yeah, I can't think of any other movie I've seen that has done that, and it is so much more unsettling than any other way I've seen it. Like, how has this only been done once? How has no one else thought of doing it this way?
There's no way that it's only been done once. I guarantee we just aren't remembering.
Probably.
Or we have, like, I mean, really, I like horror movies, but I don't actively like push myself to go in on them and all this stuff.
Sure.
I'm a comedy guy.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, that is how it should be done.
Yes, I agree.
Like, you got, I mean, when you put that into the context of storytelling, filmmaking, all of this, you have the characters in the world, and then you have the character that's a little bit separated in a different world, which it makes sense to break the fourth wall and talk to them and not us.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. And the way that, can I ask you an important question? Bacon thinking that he's talking to him, everything like that makes sense. All of it made sense. It was just crafted so perfectly together.
Yep.
Does it hurt to be dead? Whoa.
Absolutely no fucks given. Like, we're not just doing foreshadowing here. We are telling you straight up what this movie's about.
Yeah, and Bacon goes downstairs, and then we get our introduction into Illeana Douglas and Maggie Erbe. Wait, no. Maggie Erbe? Kathryn Erbe, who plays Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
And, man.
We get right into
I'm not
character
used to hating Illeana Douglas. But I hated her the second she showed up on it. It got better.
Yeah.
Oh, I hated her intro.
Well, and I think this was kind of one of those things I was wondering. They do kind of hint at it a little bit to kind of justify it, but that was kind of the vibe I was getting, because there were moments in this movie where I was forgetting whose sister she was, because she says right at the outset that she's Maggie's sister. She's
right?
like, "You got my sister pregnant again, you bastard." But the way she talks with him, there are moments where I'm like, wait, is she his sister? They're talking to each other like siblings.
They felt very, very tight. I got it.
Right,
I got to say that.
And so it's like that whole sort of like, and this again goes to, we talked about this with Frequency even. In fact, there's a lot of correlations between this and Frequency, where you've got that sort of like tight-knit neighborhood, where this is a neighborhood where, everyone has grown up
okay.
Everyone's grown up with each other. Everybody knows each other. Like, houses have been passed down from parents to kids for multiple generations. So everybody there has known everybody forever. And so basically the feeling I was getting was like this really like adversarial a relationship between Illeana and Bacon, thank you, was that sort of like long-time friendship. Like, yes, I married your sister, but maybe back in grade school we had a thing going on, and we've just been kind of like this weird kind of pseudo siblings ever since.
That is about how tight they felt.
Exactly.
I got to give you that. I will completely agree with that. But the way she says, like, can I tell him if you want me to hate you forever? And then she tells him.
Right, yeah.
And then Bacon's
because that's what sisters do.
You're not pregnant.
Yeah.
And then she's like, say something different. Bummer.
They right we get years upon years of character development in just a few lines of dialogue right there. Like that's kind of what's amazing about this is we know who these people are right out of the gate. There's
But
no
then as soon as Illeana is not in the room, we see Bacon being a very like a lot lighter, like more open.
right.
And it really kind of shows that he's just not open with anybody but her. It's
Yeah.
what I got from that.
And I see you there, yeah, and that makes sense.
I mean, in this moment, like at that, they're both trying to be supportive, but it definitely hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And where he's like walking out trying to like convince himself, he's like, I'm a happy guy. Oh, felt the
And
pain
yeah,
on that one, man.
well, and the way he walks out too, where he's like he's kind of feeling his age and all that sort of stuff, and like he was, he was a musician. He thought he's going to be a rock star, and he's sitting there going like, "Look, I'm sorry, I'm not a rock star." He's like, "I just want you to know, when I was telling you that stuff when we were younger and we were dating, and I was like, I want to be famous. I wasn't just saying that to get in your pants. Like, I really
No,
didn't
that's the
mean
thing.
it at
It's
the
the
time."
failed artist who's just really feeling their regret.
Right, yeah. And he even caps it off with like, he's like, I'm okay with not being famous. I just never thought I'd be this ordinary. Like that's and I'm like, fuck, dude, I feel that. Holy shit,
I
do I feel that.
really, really do feel where he's coming from on that, but I also really sympathized with Erbe's character on that because he's right. What she eventually does say is every time you say that this is ordinary, you have regret this, or your regrets and all this problems
Oh,
with your life, I'm your life.
right, yeah.
He's your life. This is your life. And every time you talk about your intense regrets, you're regretting us.
Right, yep.
And the reality is, yes, when you do put that out there and you're saying that, you're pushing all that out there, oh, my life sucks and all that, and you're saying it to that person, look, your buddies are there for a reason. Bitch to them about things like that. Don't take
Right,
that to your wife. Oh
right.
my God, what a way to set yourself up for disaster.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean,
That's the great thing is like this subplot of their relationship, like it's a subplot. It's a hindsight kind of thing. But that's what makes this movie work. If these parts of the movie weren't in the movie, I would not have given a shit about the movie.
oh no, you really cared about the people
Yeah,
in this movie.
totally.
Like, I don't know how you could, like, where I'm kind of guaranteeing round 3 goes to the wrong guy. I don't know how to say round 1 isn't guaranteed for these guys.
No, it's true.
I think round 2 is really going to be the deciding factor because, man, both of these movies really did like technically what they
And
did. They both did perfect.
that's the thing, man. Is like I gotta say, like I think this is one of those moments where I think we really need to question the movie fight thing because these movies are from different planets. It's really not
This
fair to
is
compare
true.
them.
No, I know. It's just that's what we like. Well, I mean, we can fix whatever. But key moments like when the kid tells the ghost to shh, and then they go to the. I like the part where they go to the party across the street with the baby monitor.
Right.
So many things I was expecting out of that, nothing happened.
Right.
Great idea.
Just great character building, world building, set building, that whole kind of again, you know, a life that I do not know. That close knit neighborhood feel that happens in all of these movies that are based in places like New York or Chicago or something like that. I grew up in the suburbs. That is a fantastical alien world to me of actual neighborhood camaraderie. Fuck, I wish I had lived that life.
I got
Even
some
though it
friends
seems to
who
be
do live
even though
that
it seems
life.
to be yeah, even though it seems to be rife with abuse and murder, still it looks nice
It
in
does look
some
nice.
ways.
It seems fun. It's nice. Like I got a buddy that in his neighborhood, the dads in this neighborhood, they get together and every they have a weekly House of the Dragon or things like that. Like they have their shows that the kids can't watch and things like that.
Nice.
The dads all get together and have a watch party. I think that is one of the coolest things, man.
That is fantastic. Yeah.
Like that is a really cool part of life. I don't have that in my life where I'm at either. But you see where life winds up.
Yeah.
Uh, at this party, you get Kevin Dunn being a jester and Illeana Douglas scouring for a mate, while Bacon is just out on the porch sulking. Which Douglas out there scouring, she's like, not drunk enough. Oh, scary. That that was a great little scene, and it led right into the hypnosis in a really good way because we
Mm-hmm.
really got to discover all like our three kind of main characters. Even though Erbe is one of the stars, I still say Douglas was one of the main characters over Erbe.
I don't know if she's over. She's definitely a strong supporting character. I don't know if I'd put her over Erbe
Well, the
personally.
thing is, I don't know if I'd put Erbe as a star, even though I have her in the on the title,
Mm.
because Illeana Douglas has more to do with the story than Erbe does.
I suppose.
But I mean, that's super nitpicking, and that's like
Yeah.
analysis type stuff.
I suppose plot wise, yes, Douglas does more, but Erbe contributes more to what makes the story important.
This okay, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
This was a line that was changed from the book for the movie, where in the movie Kevin Bacon says, "What's the worst that could happen?" which is a very classic line. See it all the time.
Yep.
In the book, he says, "What have I got to lose?"
Interesting. Okay.
And I don't know why they changed it. I think it was a better statement. What do I have to lose? Because it feeds into what he said to me. It's like, dude, you just found out your wife is pregnant. You have a kid. You are married. You have a lot
Yep.
to lose.
It,
You
it it goes
suck.
it goes right into what she says later of, you keep saying that, your life is boring and ordinary, and that's us you're talking about. Having the line be, what have I got to lose, would be a big contributor to that. Maybe they felt like at the last minute that was too much. Maybe
Maybe.
they didn't want to lay it on that thick.
But we did. I mean, the thing is, we wanted Kevin Bacon to be the bad. The movie wanted Kevin Bacon to be the bad guy in the film until he wasn't.
Right, yeah,
Like they
for
really
sure.
wanted, but they didn't go hard enough. I feel like they went hard enough that, you know, watching the movie, feeling it out, and like that. Like, yeah, there were some bad memories that came up about some like domestic fights and stuff like that. You
Yeah,
didn't, and yeah, like I said, this movie is a little bit triggering in certain ways.
right.
But good
Well,
good movies are triggering. They're
yeah.
supposed to send you into certain memories. They're supposed to hit you.
And I think that is probably the one big straight through line difference between, like, we're comparing it to The Shining. The difference between this movie and The Shining is that, while yes, Kevin Bacon's character is on edge and is getting more extreme and is getting more weird, and more, and even more like verbally abusive to his family. At no point in the movie did I feel like his kid was in danger from him.
Never.
As opposed to in The Shining, you kind of get that like almost immediately.
I don't know. I don't know. There's that moment where like he's first up and then Bacon's like screaming at him on the couch and he like slaps his hands together in front of his face.
Which is definitely over the top for sure. That is
True, but
very
I would agree
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
don't do that. But I don't call that danger.
That's the thing. It's like I was more afraid for the kids, general well being, not for his like physical safety.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. And we keep talking about The Shining. This could have been a prequel to The Shining easily. The
Oh,
Shining
sure.
could have very easily been written as a sequel. Mother,
Yeah.
the father, the kid, all of them driving away, trying to find a new neighborhood to get away from this. It would be completely understandable. Change Nicholson's character from a writer to a musician. This it is a perfect prequel to The Shining,
Totally. Yeah.
which is just really freaking weird. I might recommend certain horror people to go watch Stir of Echoes before watching The Shining and see how they feel about
True.
it.
Did you
Because
know that The Shining had a sequel?
Doctor Sleep,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I
See,
watched
I
that like
didn't
a week ago.
Okay, yeah. See, I watched Doctor Sleep a couple years ago, not knowing it was a Shining sequel. I thought it was just some other new, weird, Stephen King thing I decided to check out, and then it was like maybe like 10 minutes in, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I think I knew the first time I saw Doctor Sleep. But the weird thing was, I knew I had seen it and went to go watch it again, and like I was like, I cannot remember any of this. But that is weirdly a Stephen King thing
yeah.
with me. I I have seen so many Stephen King movies, but I can't remember them. But I'll sit down, I'll start watching them, and I'll like kind of it's weird. Stephen King movies based off Stephen King novels. I don't know what it is about them. I can watch them again for the first time. I don't
That's a
know,
good
like
question. Yeah,
it's a weird thing. I don't know. It's that formula, how it sits on me. I don't know what it is, but that is kind of a cool thing about them.
yeah.
Let's talk. I mean, speaking of Doctor Sleep, let's talk about the hypnosis and the scene of the theater, which I was
Wow.
blown away by.
Yeah, that is like some high grade, like probably the most with the number of visual effects in just those first couple of those like 2-3 minutes of that scene. Absolutely unnecessary. So freaking good. Like we're setting the mood and the scene, the mentality and all this. Like holy shit! Like that was practically a short film all by itself. Like you could just watch the hypnosis scene by itself and walk away satisfied. Like that was amazing.
The way that the architecture of the theater, when she says that it's black, the way that it gets painted black, the way
Hmm.
that the seats change to black, even the way that the color, like the lights shown on the black seats, shown them as brown.
Yeah,
That, my mind, in my mind, made that completely perfect. And the
yeah,
reason why is like that's real. If you shine yellow light or not, yeah, no, not white light necessarily, but yellow light onto black seats, it comes off as brown.
yeah.
That's why I loved
which is
that so much
which is
more.
interesting because yeah, and it was like because that kind of yellowish light comes from shining a white light from a projector onto an aged yellowing screen. You get a yellow light reflection onto the seats. Yeah, and that is well, and I think I'm going to say that might have been unintentional to a degree. I
Sure.
don't know. I don't know
No, that's
how
that's just what I like about practical effects is that when you use practical effects, it gives you
that
real,
exactly. Yes,
and
but
it grounds the scene for me better.
yeah.
But all of these horror visions, which play out the movie that
Hmm.
we're about to watch, and it tells us everything that had happened before, and the safety pin through the hand. I got some information on that one.
Okay.
Not a prop. They hired a stuntman to come in for the day and do that to himself.
Hey, you know what? He got paid to do his job. I'm
But
good
we're
for you,
talking
sir.
practical effects, and we're
Yeah.
talking about the incredible, like just what you get out of using practical effects.
Right.
That, that, the feeling, the way it hits you is so much harder when you are looking at a real hand. Does not matter how good the hand is generated or anything like that. You can still see the difference. We are not
That's the
out
thing.
of this era yet.
Something in our brains, no matter how good the fake hand is, we can tell it's a fake hand.
The uncanny
And
valley.
exactly, yes. And yeah, and it is a big difference. So
Like the lack of a soul. Like it's kind of weird. Like it's and I don't know what it is, but referring to it as the lack of a soul does make sense.
kind of without any actual otherwise definable way to describe it, that is the best we can do. Yeah, like until it's like dark matter, like until we know what it is, we're just going to call it that. So and that works.
Hey, fair enough.
Yeah.
the rough night of sleep and memories of the hypnosis coming in. Oh, that was painful, but then, oh, hi, wifey. That's a good moment.
Which, yeah, like, okay. I mean, it's understandable. They just came back from a party. They've been smoking. They've been drinking. There was this whole thing with the hypnosis. Like, sure, of course. Why not cap it off? We've all been there.
She's pregnant. The hormones are going. Like,
sure,
they're
yeah.
both awake in the middle of the night. What else are you going to do?
Yeah, the only weird part about it was that she waited like 2 hours.
No, I'll give you that. The thing that really got me about the scene, like the fingernail when that like cracked in his brain,
right.
and the fact that broke him out of the lovemaking,
right?
But also her reaction is like, I can't. It's too weird. She's like, baby, that wasn't weird. I can show you weird.
I know,
like, dude.
Like,
perfect wife
ladies
response,
and
man.
I know, ladies and gentlemen. We just found out why these two were married. Right there.
Outstanding, absolutely outstanding. Oh my god, when he goes into the bathroom and he sees that his tooth is just like Jennifer Morrison's was, and all that, and then he goes to pull it out, that frickin' string of saliva blood. How did they do that? How?
It's a really good question. I was wondering myself. I actually went back and checked, because my first thought was that it wasn't a mirror. They tricked us. That's Kevin Bacon on the other side of an empty wall, and the guy in the foreground is a lookalike with a fake tooth. That was my first thought.
I would have liked that.
I couldn't confirm it for sure. I watched that scene 3 times to try to figure it out. I couldn't figure it out for sure.
That was a visceral. Like, oh my god, how that hit me. Oh. But the living room TV, and then we get our first real glimpse of Jennifer Morrison as that ghost. And this is what I like. There was a jump scare, but what happened in that is, even in the subtitles, you can hear me, can't you? Like, there is no terrifying moment in this.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me, because like that was like, this was the first time of watching it with subtitles for me. That when I'd seen it before, I didn't have that. And so the fact that we actually understand what she's saying there in this moment, and that it is a very human, like, oh my god, you can hear me kind of thing, that changes it completely. Like, without the subtitles, it's just kind of a weird glitch thing that just kind of freaks you out. So it's like, we get, like, depending on whether you're watching it with subtitles or not, you get 2 entirely different experiences in that scene, and both of them are good. Both of them are good experiences.
I'll agree with that. But then, that creepy kid comes out. You're awake now, Daddy.
Right.
I'm like, God. Oh God. Like, and again, what you were just saying, 2 different things you could take away from that. Neither wrong, both very good, both very creepy.
Someone taught that child about his double speak.
The way that kid goes up and touches Bacon's, like, the side of his head and all that.
Right.
Man.
Gives him a little Vulcan mind meld. Yeah.
Which, interestingly enough, again, back to The Shining and Dr. Sleep, this kid was a better cast of Danny than the kid that they cast as Danny and Dr. Sleep. That kid wasn't even close. I did not understand how the hell he got that part. You know what I mean? Like, you saw Dr. Sleep. Like, like, that kid does not look like Danny Rand. Wait.
Danny Rand is Iron Fist. I do not remember the kid in Dr. Sleep at all. I only remember
so the kid in Dr. Sleep was a little bit more like squinty-eyed. Okay. His eyes were kind of like this. The kid for Dr. Sleep was like full on anime eyes. Like, things like that. That is, like, because of me. Like I said, like, we've gone into this before. I really stare into people's eyes when I talk to them.
Okay.
And when I watch movies, everything like that, I really kind of key into that, because, and to me, that's where a lot of the acting, where it's believable or not, it's
I've been told, yes.
Yes. So I really enjoy that. The breakfast of brushing it off, and then, like, he's talking about hallucination and all that, and then the wife, did you fuck her? It's like, you're jealous of my hallucination? Okay, wow, you really are pregnant.
here's the thing is like he's sitting there going like she must have been someone from a memory, I just don't remember who, and her response is like, well, did you fuck her? Like, okay, here's the thing, I understand this is supposed to be kind of a weird like marriage moment. If that had been me, if this had been my marriage, like my response would have been, babe, if I had fucked her, I'd remember who she was, please. This is who do you take me for?
I don't know if that would have been the right thing to say or the wrong thing to say. I'm going to be real honest with you there. It's like, I don't have the answer on that one. But then I like that. She's like, did you fuck her? And then she walks away. Don't swear so much.
Right.
Like little moments like that. I swear to God, that is David Koepp writing.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Like that is like, from what we understand, like him writing the paper and Ghost Town, like things like that. No, like very much. And I'm still very happy I didn't do that live like when we were going. That would so dumb. He calls Illeana and like finds out that she left something in just to be more open.
Right.
Now,
I
two
do
things about
like
this scene. Go ahead.
how every time we see Illeana from here on out, she's completely unprepared for what's happening. Like in this scene, he's waking her up with the phone call, and like next time we see her, she's like having some sort of social engagement, maybe a date, we're not really sure, with this lady that she has to kick out, and then even says like, look, when you came in here, we had just like smoked a fatty. So I'm like,
yeah, I thought
like,
that was a date.
Yeah.
But
like that's the thing is she was hunting for men the last time we saw her, so the fact that she's got a chick with her, that kind of is like, okay, you know.
yeah, she wins at life.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, straight people. Yeah, you got it.
We have
you got it
limitations.
good.
Yeah.
You got it good. Gay people, you know, you got your group. Bisexual people win. They get the full palette. They get to experience all of life. You gotta, I mean, just kind of gotta flat out give it to them. They win. Like,
Nothing's off the table. Yeah. There's no, sorry, I'm allergic
kinda.
to that. You have to live with. No.
Yeah, no, for them, it's just about the personality. They kind of
Yep.
won. But the two things that I wanted to talk about with this scene, Ebert said that this scene, when Bacon was on that telephone pole and all that, he called that a shocker scene. Had nothing to do with the movie, anything like that. But a scene like that was just nothing but creative, beautiful, and it informed the character's job and everything. Like, it was not a necessary thing to the film. However, because of how good that scene was and how much of what he called it a shocker scene,
Right.
Ebert said that was one of his favorite scenes of the year.
You know, I can kind of see it because, yeah, it tells us everything about, like, with there's
What
no
he does for
exposition.
work, everything
Right.
like that. Like, yeah.
There's no need to drop exposition. We're just seeing him in his job, and while when he's like clandestinely calling the sister-in-law, instead of calling her from home in front of his wife, he decides to do it from work, which involves tapping into the phone lines directly.
Which is really cool because I forgot that you can do that. I forgot that that was something that they could do, but yeah, that is totally something they can do.
Yeah.
The second thing I wanted to bring up about this is in the book, Bacon's character, the way that he met his wife and the way they got together is he had a premonition about her drowning, and he was a lifeguard and he saved her life. So when Illeana opened him, she opened him the rest of the way. He was already, he had the shine.
Okay, I see. So this wasn't just a thing that, yeah, that sort of like was latent, passed on to his kid. No, this was something that was active, and it was just turned up to 11 by her.
Yeah, which we she kind of hints at that after the scene where he got hypnotized. Excuse me, man. I don't know what's going on with me. But after he got hit, she's like, only like 8% of people out there are like that suggestible, which realistically, 8%, that's a pretty damn big number.
That's a
you
lot.
Probably should not have gone that high of number. Maybe 0.8% would have been a better way to go.
Maybe, yes.
But 8% of 8 billion people, that's a lot of people. I don't like that's
That's several
Entire
hundred thousand. Yeah.
that's entire continents worth of
Yeah.
population.
But that would explain why like professional like show hypnotists are able to get work.
Oh my god, that actually reminds me. The three things about this scene. The suggestion that Illeana Douglas used, that is real world hypnotist stuff. And they added music and certain things in there to prevent people in the audience from being hypnotized during that scene, which people got hypnotized in screenings. So they had to add a
Wow.
couple things in to prevent that from happening.
Interesting. Interesting.
I
Okay.
thought that was cool. I thought that was kind of cool. Um Oh, then the kid talking to the ghost and then getting the reference for the babysitter. Like the way
Oh,
that
right.
you had the
Yes.
ghost actually like keying in and helping solve her murder.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
liked it, man. I liked it. This was this was put together very, very
the,
well.
the the ghost is surprisingly aware. Like that's the thing is this ghost isn't just some sort of like emotional repeat recording like you sometimes see ghosts do in ghost stories.
Yeah, not a
This
death
ghost,
echo or anything like that.
yeah, this ghost is involved. Like, and that starts with like what we were saying before. It turns out like she's saying, "You can hear me." She's surprised that he can hear her, and so now she's getting involved. She's telling the kid like, "Oh, she's looking for a babysitter. Tell her to call my sister. Get my
Which
sister over here."
I don't know if this hit you, but the way that this hit me was the ghost sat down next to Kevin Bacon just to watch TV. And then when Bacon like responded, she's like, "Wait, you can hear me?"
Oh, I did not clue in on that. That is, see, that just adds to it. Yeah, that's even better. Yeah,
Like
like this,
like
the ghost is
she was
literally,
just as surprised as he was.
yeah, all the way up until the point that Kevin Bacon reacts to her. She's literally just chilling with this family and hanging out with this kid. It isn't until Kevin Bacon reacts to her that she's all of a sudden like, oh, we can solve my murder.
I swear to God, I want to go read the book just to find out if there is any kind of description that like, oh, and she was just had her head up, she was twirling her hair when I turned over and I saw the ghost. Like, and she's like, wait, what? But again,
Excuse you? What are you
this was
looking at me
written
like
in
that for?
58. So was Bacon like was the character actually watching TV, or was he like sitting next to the radio? I
It's a good
really want to go
question.
back.
58.
It's been a long time since I've read a book from the 50s.
Yeah.
But I do
There.
enjoy reading books from like all the way back before let's say the 70s,
Mhm.
where film like toxic masculinity, all this stuff, basically like the term that things that we reference as toxic masculinity.
Right.
Before that, every book, everything like that, you had the wise older characters that we looked up to and everything like that, cracking on the jackasses, being like, that's like, those are fools, warriors who don't understand these things, all that, they're
Right.
fools. This whole toxic masculinity and being a tough guy is the right way to go and all this stuff, that's a relatively new concept.
Well, I mean, if we want to take a kind of a sidestep on this, from what I have heard, and granted, this is just from like a few like online personalities just kind of throwing their own theories out there, is that it literally coincides with the rise of the feminist movement of the 60s and 70s because those were the times in which the men felt like they had to distance themselves by being more manly. One of the points that this one guy made was how movies that were musicals were universally popular until the feminist movement, and then men decided that dancing and singing was unmanly and they stopped going to musicals.
Oh, so basically we're saying the pendulum swing.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. No, I can see that. I can get that. It's dumb, stupid, and I hate it.
Me too.
But
But here we
uh,
are.
back to this. I really enjoyed the representation over like the red flashes when we see the babysitter show up.
Mm-hmm.
What was crazy to me was the fact that it felt like, and I don't know this for sure. I need to go back. I need to go read the book, but it felt like those red flashes were literally red flags warning Bacon that it's like, oh God, my she's gonna freak and she's gonna take the kid. Like maybe you should be here and stuff like that. Like I actually felt like that was like
See,
the ghost kind of teaming up a little bit.
I don't think that was the ghost. I don't think the ghost was doing that. What I think is that was just kind of a further my assumption of this had to do with kind of a sort of a semi connection to like epilepsy. There are folks who have such bad epilepsy that they literally cannot even look at a flashing red light at all. It will give them a seizure. And so red light is literally like just like your brain going, ah, all at once. And so I don't think it was that the ghost was trying to warn him. I think this was like he's to go.
I think it was his premonition that the kid was going to get taken.
It was premonition.
I wanted to make sure that we weren't debating that.
Right. Yeah. No, it definitely was premonition, but I don't think it was the ghost giving him that premonition. I think it literally was just his own latent power, just kind of saying alarm bells, alarm, 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 something bad's about to happen. And maybe he didn't know exactly what it was, but like the fact that he was on the edge all the way up until she actually grabs the kid and starts running out of the house with him, that he goes, shit, she's taking him right now. And he bolts. And so,
okay.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. But okay. On the way to the game, Dunn never stops talking on that walk, and he plays the creep really well. And the thing that I really enjoyed this about it, because he never stopped drinking the whole movie. Like, he had been in denial. He'd been everything like that. You can see the like defense mechanisms and stuff like that. It was there the whole movie.
Right.
He just didn't know why.
It's crazy how, going back and looking at it, like the warning signs are all over the place on this one. Yeah.
But this is where we're talking about the babysitter listening in on the conversation and then goes to check on Jake. And he says, like, I talk to Samantha all the time here in the house. Yep. And this is where we don't find out here, but in about 30 seconds, we find out she is Samantha's sister.
Right. Which,
and that's
by the way,
lured there by the ghost.
For the people who would care, by the way, this babysitter who is the ghost's sister is played by the same, whose name I'm forgetting now. I looked her up and I should have looked up. Played by the same person who played Paris Geller in The Gilmore Girls. So,
No, I was watching. I was like, God, I know this girl. That was
right.
Like,
yeah.
She's a little too old to be Brie Larson, but she kind of looks like her. And then I looked her up. I was like, Paris.
It's Paris. Yeah.
Got it.
We love Paris Geller.
Man, Gilmore Girls was a much better show than I ever expected it to.
Same here. Yeah, same here.
That got me immediately, and it never let go.
Yeah, I didn't watch it until it was on Netflix, but everyone was telling me like, "Oh no, you should check it out." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And then when I finally did, like, I think I tore through the entire series in like 3 weeks on Netflix, because it was.
Yeah, I think that's about the same for me as well.
Yeah.
But that was like when I very first moved to LA. I like didn't have any money, and I was like, okay, got to find a job, got to get some things in order. Let's kill time by going to the beach and then at night watching Gilmore Girls.
Fucking A, that's the life, bro. Nice.
It wasn't the
nicely
worst.
done.
But then the babysitter takes Jake and all the way to a train station, which it makes sense why everybody's freaking out. But the reason that she goes to the train station is because her mom works there. And this whole confrontation right in front of the cops and tell me where she is. Mom wants to press charges. But dude, Bacon was being super suspicious. And the most unbelievable part of this movie is the fact that the cops never did like a welfare check on the home.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Like,
and it's crazy. It's crazy too, because it was like we've got this whole thing, the we got the supposed kidnapping. Mom is freaking out. Other mom is freaking out. Teenage girl is clearly like going nuts. Kid is screaming scared. Like accusations are flying all around. And they're like, we're gonna, we want to press charges. You kidnapped our son, and she's like, but my sister, and they're like, and like all of a sudden in the middle of it, Kevin Bacon looks at the picture of the sister, recognizes the ghost, goes, no, I've never seen her before, in a very terse, non-convincing way. And then when the cop goes, all right, are we pressing charges? And then Kevin Bacon goes, no, let's not press charges. Let's just drop the whole thing. There is nothing more suspicious on planet Earth than that kind of turnaround right there.
100% agree.
Like that That was a bad cop. We were talking about a bad cop in the last movie. That was a bad cop right there. A good cop would have pulled.
No. The last
a good
movie
cop
was
would
a
have pulled
bad
his
cop.
gun right there.
This is a shitty cop. There's
right.
There's a
He
difference
like that cop should have pulled his gun right there.
But then, like you say, like, yeah, Bacon realizes who the ghost is and all this. And they go back and they try to talk to Jake. And then there's that one thing she says, don't talk to the boy. Talk to me.
Right.
That. Yeah. Ooh, I wanted more of that. And the movie didn't give us that. And I thought that was a really smart way to go, to just kind of flew into that, but like not let it become too much of the movie. I thought that was really good, because they could have brought in an exorcist and had so many things.
Right. Well, and one of the things I do appreciate about this, and I appreciate these things in movies, because the unnecessarily adversarial relationship between married couples is so overused when they want to try to create drama in a movie or a TV show. They almost always make that, build that drama around conflict in a domestic relationship, whether it's parents and their teenage kids or between a married couple. And there was already plenty of that in this movie, with the whole like bad reaction to the pregnancy, all that sort of stuff. In most movies, they would add to that by having him keeping it a secret from her. When he recognized the girl as the ghost, in most movies he wouldn't have said anything. Either because like, I don't want to worry you, or you're going to think I'm crazy, whatever. He didn't do that in this. They're not even all the way out of the train station when he turns to her and goes, that was the girl. The ghost that I saw was her. He's got her on his team. Boom, like that. We don't need any extra unnecessary conflict between this couple. We're getting right to business.
No,
here.
see, that's the thing. The story did a good enough job that we didn't need that crap. Like, that's
exactly, yes.
Almost every time that a movie puts that in there, it's because they needed filler. They're trying to up the stakes, but the story was compelling enough that they didn't need any of that.
But then, and this is where it's interesting, because when we talk about the very next scene, that kind of turns around. Because the kid's clamming up. They're trying to get him to talk. They're trying to say, hey, we know you're talking to the ghost, Samantha. Talk to us.
Well,
and he's refusing.
Is.
Yeah. And then the kid finally says out loud, I don't want to talk about it because it scares mommy.
Yep.
And that probably is one of the greater cascading moments, because that is when, at that moment, son and father both shut her out. Like, the very next scene we get is her kind of starting to lose her shit, because she's noticed that A, her husband is getting crazier, and B, her husband and her son are getting crazier in secret. So, and so now she's starting to take shit into her own hands, and which,
well, not now, but it does. Yeah. But eventually, it starts. Like, this is where it
maybe
keys her in
later
to start doing into that.
Right.
Because next up, Bacon completely, like, I love this. He sits back down on the couch and he's like,
he's trying to repeat what happens. Yeah, that was good. Like, it's very House of Stairs moment. Yes.
Good moment. Very, very good moment. But then they show up at a tailgate, I think it was. And Bacon just, like, the way he pops in on the scene is just
yet
awesome
another
and
neighborhood
crazy.
party.
Yeah. And showing up asking about Samantha. And I think, like, you key in immediately. They bring up Samantha's name and that kid, like, gives that look.
Right, yeah.
No, it's like, I wrote here, I was like, okay, the football kid did it. Okay.
Yeah.
A little too easy. And
he was a football kid. He was a prime suspect to start with.
Hey. Yeah, Erbe is just crazy depressed and worried about him. Everything that you were talking about with, like, the secrets and all that. Mm-hmm. And Illeana is like, oh, at least he's finally getting interesting. Like, God, what is it with you two?
She doesn't really help much. Like, she furthers the plot a lot by being unhelpful.
That is pretty true. That is a good point. That's
I do love her character.
Weird role like that.
Yeah, I do love her character though. Like I honestly, if I'm being totally honest, if I was in that
Oh,
neighborhood, I'd probably date her. So
oh yeah, yeah. No,
yeah,
no, no. I do agree with that, and I would hate myself for having done that
yeah,
because I that is the kind of woman that I would have dated and been just annoyed every day at how flighty they are. Like,
yeah.
no, I have been attracted to women like that in spite of myself many times over. Oh, I'm an idiot like that. Or I have been. Um, but then we get into what we find out is Bacon's dream, and then Dunn shows up. They're gonna kill you and Maggie both. And way that kid like he bang bang himself in like his ribs in the dream
Yeah,
and rubbing the all over the no 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 no, I hated that, really hated that. And then he wakes up from his dream and then almost everything happens.
that's the
Like
thing.
his
Yeah, it's
boots
like
are in exactly where he was when he woke up from his dream. He goes downstairs, he's hoping Dunn's not there, and he's not. But
right.
then he goes on that walk and he is like he does discover the
See,
kid bang banged himself. And
right.
the thing is, I don't like how much every piece of that made sense.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
The way the okay, I love how every piece of that came together. But where I say a good movie triggers you,
Mm-hmm.
the way the kid tried to kill himself without damaging his face for a funeral for his like parents,
Oh, I see.
how accurate that was to where a lot of people like a lot of teens where
Yeah,
they try it. The movie went with some hard, intense realism that they never really put a voice to. And
true.
if you didn't realize that, kind of sorry, but that is what they did. That was brilliant, painful, and I didn't like it.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
But I loved it. That's what that's kind of you know what I'm saying?
Right. You hate it in a respectfully artistic way.
Yes, absolutely respect the art, but the way it made me and I respect the way that it made me feel, and I enjoy the fact that it did make me feel. I didn't like
Mm-hmm.
the way
Right.
I
Okay.
didn't like the way it made me feel. I am losing a little bit of my audio.
Oh, so you're seeing out in the levels. Okay.
I am, yeah. That's why I have to keep track of this. I can't do what you do, and I can't look at the camera. I do see the benefit there, though, because I have so much information in front of me. I'm trying to keep track of everything during the show.
Right. Yeah.
That final line that he says, though, after the kid tries to off himself, like, am I awake or asleep? Like,
Yeah.
you could have
Yeah.
extended that by like 2 minutes of him just freaking out about whether he was awake or asleep, and it would have. But the fact that they let it just be small and subtle like that, I thought that was beautifully brilliant.
With everything that's happening, you almost miss it. I think I missed it the first time. It wasn't until the second watching that I caught that that's what he said.
Well, in all fairness, the first time you tried to watch this, it was not.
Well, yeah, let's
It
not
was
get into
not conducive to
that.
catching detail.
Yeah. We don't need to give that inside baseball to the audience.
All right, now, now we get our true shining connections.
Yes.
On
Yep.
like the mom and the kid off on a walk, and she's just trying to have fun with the kid and really like saving the kid's like innocence and really doing the thing, doing the
Right.
mom
Because
thing,
there
doing the
because
parent
there's
thing.
massive
Yep,
drama happening on the street, so she's like, "Let's get him out of the house,"
yep.
and just go have fun. Yep.
And then I like off on that walk. Hello there. I didn't mean to do that like Obi-Wan, but I did. And the
Well,
kid like looks up.
we're back to a Doctor Sleep reference.
Nice. Maybe that's why my brain forced that one out of me.
Yeah.
Following the music to that funeral, and Jake's just super happy and very comfortable in the cemetery, and I'm like, creepy. But then, like, yeah, okay, so you get the tall black man looking over top, like, um, realizes the kid has the shining, but in this
Right.
movie they call it X-ray vision.
Right. Yes.
Very
Probably
50s, very 50s.
very Very 50s, and also probably, they I would be interested to know what they called it in the book, because I feel like that was an attempt to make sure, like, they had to have known while they were making this movie how many parallels it had to The Shining.
Are you kidding me? They had the kid. They had like Jake in this movie goes to the cemetery dressed as Danny in The Shining.
I didn't even notice that.
The red jacket, everything. Like that's exactly how he goes into the cemetery. He's literally dressed like Halloween Danny. Like it was weird.
So yeah, they probably were just like, what should we have him say? He's got the twinkle in his eye. He's got the let's say X-ray vision. How about that? We'll just really just like wave a flag.
You bring up a good point. I may buy the book. I may just read that this week just to find out. I am curious. But wow, to make this scene creepy in the wrong way. What about Daddy? Does Daddy have the eyes? Daddy has. Tell Daddy to come see me. Like, okay, that is the wrong kind of creepy, man.
Yeah, his whole character was just kind of out of left field, because first of all, there was no it's enough that, okay, he's at a funeral. They run into the guy because he's at a funeral while they're just having a casual stroll through the graveyard, as you do. Did he have to be a cop at a cop funeral? Was that totally necessary? Because that never plays into anything after this. It's just why he's there. He's there for a funeral, but they made it a police funeral, and he's a cop. And he does not have policeman demeanor at all. He's got owns a secondhand clothing store in the South demeanor. Like,
where I get you there, if you don't have a few cops on your force that are like that, I think you're wrong.
Fair point. Fair point.
Where I grew up, we had some cops that, we all hated. We all knew them by name. If you saw him, you knew you had to act better than good, because this guy was just out for everybody. And then you had the ones that would show up, and like if you got pulled over by them, you'd have a couple of jokes. You'd find out how he's doing, even if you got your ticket, or when you got your ticket, because he'd never let you off with anything. But you never minded, because he was a good dude doing his job.
Right. All right.
That's why I got this kind of thing. Like, there's no such thing as a good cop. There are only cops and bad cops.
That's fair.
Like a good cop is just a cop doing what a cop is supposed to be doing. That's just somebody doing the actual job. I don't think the term good cop is even a thing that should be around, because you're either a good cop, or you're either a cop doing your job, or you're a bad cop. Kind of plain and simple.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Now this made me angry. Kevin Bacon's character is a musician. Kevin Bacon is a musician. The kid changes the notes that Bacon is playing on the guitar, and he does not realize immediately that he is playing Paint It Black.
I know. Like, what genre did you play in that you do not already sleep to that song?
I mean, good God, who doesn't know that lick? Come on. Then Erbe leaves without telling about the cop and the whole situation, even though the cop's like, tell him to come. He's like, no, I'm going to be the one. It's like, that is classic horror movie decisions, everything like that. Like, no, he's already losing it. I don't want to push him over the edge. So the thing that's going to bring him back from going over the edge, I'm going to do that. No, that happens all the time. But weirdly, that is also a very real world thing too.
It is, yes. Yeah.
I got to give that the realism of that. And then, of course, it's a 90s movie. This is America. Going to, in a horror movie, creepy situation, having somebody not speak English just makes it scarier. That's
right. Yeah. Which
you gotta do it. Whatever.
To be fair, having lived in China, I will tell you, yes, people speaking totally normally in Chinese sound like they're bitching each other out.
Oh,
they're not.
When I was in Iraq, like people speaking Arabic, often it sounded angry, but that's just how the language sounds.
Like,
I'll give them that.
that lady like yelling at her in Chinese, I'm sure sounded bad. She probably was saying, "Oh, yes, ma'am. You just want to take the corner right there. You have a lovely day." It's probably what, I don't know. I don't speak Chinese, but that is probably what she was saying. It's just that, Chinese is very tone specific, and though not all those tones are nice to hear.
Have you messed around with AI on your computer yet?
No.
You can actually ask them, like go into your Copilot or whatever, ask them like, hey, that scene, like at this minute mark of the movie, what is she saying? They will tell you. Like if you like the people who are trying to get it to draw like all of these things and do all of this stuff and ask about like formulas about AI and the end of the world and all that stuff, you guys are all idiots and you're doing it wrong. Literally, if you're curious about anything that's in the actual world, AI, I mean, it's like I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
I am having my fun with it.
And that's fair. We have talked about before how like I could go on about AI for a while. We'd have to
we need to
an
designate an after hour for that. You did say that. Okay. All right. Fine. Moving on. The movie time and bath time. The jump scares that they kept successfully pulling off and Erbe just not reacting in any way. Fantastic decision.
Yep.
The dick move with the cold bath water.
Yeah.
But also the representation of her stealing the steam was beautifully crafted.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, I thought it was, I mean, yeah, because we're going into a couple of baseline ghost tropes here about how when there's a ghost around, it takes the heat from everything. That's how you get the cold breath in the room when in a haunted room, stuff like that. And they really did take that like a step further, where this was water that we've already established is hot, because when she first started running it, she touched it and she was like, that's too hot, and she kind of adjusts it a little bit. And then when the tub is finally full, she goes and now it's ice cold because we've seen the ghost there. Now, granted, she's not a ghost expert, okay? That's her sister. But I feel like, especially considering this is right immediately within hours after the psychic dude that she was just talking to telling her, you have an angry ghost in your house. I feel like that should have been taken a little bit more seriously than she took it.
I agree that, like, for all the things that this movie did perfectly, her character was not always handled perfectly, and
I agree.
And yeah,
but
okay, I gotta. But then
again, at the same time, she is supposed to be the one normal person in the whole family.
The one, like, kind of the one doubter, even though she's actually acting like she believes it more than anybody, because. Right. I know it's 2024, and yes, white women will go down into dark alleys all the time because of true crime podcasts and everything like that. No, I know. The intrigue has won. I get it. But there was a time that, no, they didn't. Everybody knew, don't go down dark alleys.
Right.
And she was making, like, I struggled with her character, but I know that I was meant to, so, I mean, that's how that went. She goes down to check the pilot light, and oh my God, like I couldn't stop laughing about this. When the kid unplugs the TV and the TV stays on, and he's like,
right.
That cracked me up. I was laughing so hard.
That is a standard horror movie trope of the electric object that will not turn off. You try to turn, whether, and it's been going back with record players, radios, TVs. We've been doing this for years of escalating the situation all the way up to yanking the power plug out of the wall and it's still on. This kid pulled that off. He's like, what, 6 years old? This kid?
Not a clue.
He pulls that routine off perfectly, and also kind of gives it a little bit of air of comedy to it. Like, he actually makes it a little funny in a way that, genuinely in a way that it has never been before, where he's arguing with a ghost.
Like when she keeps turning the channel and he doesn't want to watch a horror movie. Yep.
Right. And it's almost like they're siblings now. Like, that's his annoying big sister. She just happens to be dead and haunting his TV.
Yeah, I mean, and this is
Yeah.
where like we start seeing little hints of vengeful spirit coming in and
Right.
stuff like that, like a little bit more poltergeist. But this hallucination that Bacon has when he goes into that, the way that they filmed that, they sped the camera up and then they had Jennifer Morrison walk
Right.
slow but as normal as humanly possible. So
Right, yeah. So
good
it was an
job.
interesting effect. Yeah. So it's like they told her, try to walk like you're in slow motion, but then we're going to speed it up so that you have this kind of weird jerky movement to you, like you're being sped up, even though you're now walking normal speed. I thought that was a pretty good effect too. Yeah, I appreciated that because that's one of those like, yeah, it sets off the uncanny valley effect without there being an uncanny valley, and that's yeah,
Yeah, I
tiny little
mean,
tricks.
yep, flat out. But then Bacon, like after being hit, the hallucination, Bacon goes back to Illeana Douglas's place, and he's like, he wants to be hypnotized again. But this is what you were talking about earlier, where he shows up and they like just smoked a blunt, and they
Right,
are not prepared for any of this.
right. Well, and
Going back into the hypnotist. Go ahead.
I do love my personal like I don't know a lot of Spanish, but I do know just enough Spanish to know that what she said to her to get her to leave is, "I'm sorry, my brother-in-law is a little crazy."
Yep, I just
Yeah,
loved like how she said de nada when like it's like she's even like hey gracias de nada.
right, right. Yeah, exactly.
No,
Yeah,
that was um goes into the gets hypnotized again back into the theater and through a little bit of high anxiety stuff, which I
mm-hmm.
don't actually want to spoil. He finds out that he needs to go dig, and when he comes out of the hallucination, goes to the fridge and grabs that beer, starts chugging it, and Doug is like, "Oh my god, that was the craziest thing!" While he's drinking a beer, do you want a beer?
Right,
Oh my
because
god!
she's still so high. Yeah, like that was a fat blunt that they smoked apparently. But
Apparently,
no, what I remember the first time I saw this movie, one of the things that really caught me, that like was part of that whole just like really good use of building anxiety, is the fact that she's putting him back under in hypnosis, and she's guiding him through the hypnosis the same way as before, but things that are happening in the hypnosis vision are in direct contradiction to what she's saying. Like the hypnosis is now no longer under anyone's control. Like I thought that was a really amazing touch where she's just like, "You're okay. You just think about the theater. You're relaxed. You're alone in the theater." And he's like, "No, there's somebody here." Like, "Oh shit." you know?
no, like that's everything I didn't want to talk about and spoil, you dick.
Oh, it's not that much of a spoiler. There's
I know, but
more.
it's big, but it is big though. Like it's like the surprise of that. You don't see it coming, and I love like it caught me. Um, but uh, then they get back and there's just a million cartons of orange juice that have taken over the fridge, and Bacon and the boy are in the backyard digging. And I gotta say, man, I loved his response. Like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "You know what I'm doing. Even if we don't want to say what I'm looking for, we both know what I'm looking
Right.
for." And she's
Yeah.
like, "What about Jake?" Jake is helping.
that's 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 parenting right there. That's what this scene is. This scene is, look, we know this is crazy, but we're parents. And we gotta sit here and try to keep a lid on the crazy as much as we can while going crazy. That for me, that the one big unanswered question was what was with the orange juice. That's the thing I still am wondering about, because it was an escalating thing where he's constantly getting thirsty, he's constantly going for orange juice, and it caps off with her coming home to a refrigerator full of orange juice cartons. Don't know what that was about. I liked it. It was a good touch, but I'm like, I would have liked to see a little bit more about that, just to get what was up.
I would have to go back and check, but the thing that I want to say is, I don't know, maybe like before she got killed, she had like a thing of orange juice with her that she was walking with or something. That's what I want to say, but also maybe seeing ghosts takes the vitamin C out of you. I mean,
well, and that was it. Maybe if we're going back, if we're keeping with the Shining rules, being psychic burns calories. Yeah. So,
I mean, I guess.
yeah.
But then I like this. She wants to call the cops and everything like that, and then he's like, "Run it by me. I want to hear how it sounds out loud." And I mean, dude, that is legitimate. Like
Right.
he's thought about this, he's put that through all that, and the kid just yelling, "Be quiet." I mean, that hurt me. That hurt my heart. That hurt my soul. I mean, this movie had moments in it that just had nothing to do with the horror elements. It just had to do with a real family going through real problems.
Yeah.
And that was this is a good movie. And oh yeah, we talked about this in the kitchen for the apology and all the interview.
Yep. Well, and
when she picks up the phone for the grandma and to find out that she's going to the hospital and all this, and he's like, she's not gonna. And then he cuts himself off, and she's like, what? And then she kind of keys in on. She's like, you knew, and she just how worried and scared she is makes all the sense in the world.
Yep. And how quickly that turns too, because like that is such there's that moment where they're like, she's dealing with the fact that her grandmother just died while also dealing with the fact that her husband's psychic powers are getting to that degree, and that takes a complete 180 when she's like, the funeral's on Sunday, and he's like, do I have to go?
But here's the thing, man, like her lack of understanding. But her lack of understanding, like, I'm still weighing whether it's understandable, whether her lack of understanding is understandable.
Right.
She is seeing this. She knows there's a ghost there. She knows who the ghost is. She knows all of this stuff. She has seen how it connects to the real world, all of these things. And she's like, she is trying. I can't tell whether she was being supportive, trying to get in the way of it, running away from it. It was like,
I would say probably more than anything, it was probably a touch of like, look, she'll still be dead next week, and then we can look for the body. I'm in crisis right now. You know, my grandmother just died. Can we put your month-long crazy on hold for 2 fucking days? Like that's not an unreasonable ask. I don't think she went. I don't think she went about it very well, and that's probably where the conflict was. But at the end of the day,
that's real people. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah,
like, real people are not going to respond perfectly. You're not going to be able to sit there, and
especially not in an emotional moment like that.
No, God, no. But Kevin Bacon being mad about $800 a month for a house and it's not perfect.
In Chicago.
Yeah. But
I mean, my God, yeah.
The fact that she cut the water.
Even by 1990s standards, $800 a month for that place is a goddamn steal. Like, that's nuts.
I don't know. I don't know. Like if you were talking Oaks Park, Chicago, sure.
I think it was Logan Square, wasn't it? That was the name on the train station when they went there. It said Logan Square. Logan Square is a nice neighborhood.
I don't know much about Chicago. I know you live there for a bit. I've only worked there from time. Renting the jackhammer and that maniacal laughter was fun. I'm guessing like if they actually did bring a real jackhammer in, I'm guessing like Kevin Bacon was having a great time.
Yeah. This is a bit of a tangent. Can I go on one tangent real quick?
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Hit your tangent.
Okay. The scene where Kevin Bacon starts taking the pickaxe to the concrete floor in the basement. That very start, when it all of a sudden occurs to him to dig there, and he's just driving the pickaxe into the floor. This to me was a great example of the paradox of being a working actor, in that under no circumstances should anybody be asked to do that without safety goggles on. But they had to do it to show how crazy he was in that scene. Like in any, like to be an actor and go, we need you to start using a pickaxe full strength at a concrete floor where, let's be honest, you could be blinded by that if a large enough piece of concrete flies into your eye. No one should ask you to do that without safety goggles on, but he had to do it without safety goggles on for that scene to prove that, to show just how nuts his character is going in the what's the word I'm looking for? The heat of the moment kind of thing that brought him into starting that at that job, which is then kind of like added to the next scene where he's gone full on. He's brought in a jackhammer and we watch him put the safety goggles on before starting the jackhammer. Like that to me has always been an amazing part of being an actor, where you have to actively, viciously fly in the face of OSHA rules in order to get the scene right, you know?
That's why they get paid so much more money to swing that jackhammer than somebody who does for 20 years.
No, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. Yep.
I mean, yeah, you do one movie where you're swinging a jackhammer, you're the star of the movie, and it's a big movie. You're making more than somebody who's going to be swinging a pickaxe or working a jackhammer will in 20 years.
No, that's true.
So,
that is a very good point.
You know, it is what it is. So Erbe calls from the funeral, and she decides to go on her way to pick him up. And we get a good look at how rough the condition the house is in, and Bacon's been destroying everything.
That was
which is funny
fantastic
because
reveal.
It was, but also I didn't realize it until the second watch. He made a crack about that to Larry at the beginning of the movie. He's like, "Yeah, we're just poking holes all over your house."
Right, yeah.
He literally I thought that was a fantastic thing that I completely didn't catch. Was wildly unnecessary, but did not belong in this movie at all, but that's just cheeky stuff that was fun.
Was that just a good joke? Was that just a random good joke, or was that supposed to be another clue of his premonitions? Okay.
I think it was a setup. I think that was like him, like the people who the people who decide just on the day to take a different route to work. And so when they allude to the fact that there are millions of psychics out there, but they're just the ones who decide to go this way instead of this way, and things little stuff like that. The ones who make jokes about things that then come true. I felt it was more of like a touch to that. I just did like that it was
premonition. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Because Illeana, because he said that before he got hypnotized, and then I thought that it would make sense, but like I said, I would like to go watch or read the book because I kind of want to see all the differences, because it took him 40 years to turn this book into a movie, so
yeah,
I'd like to see that, read that. Excuse me. The creepy kid again, one more time. Jake is like, I don't want to go back. Why? The feathers. And I was like, huh? And then they paid that off very, very well.
Yeah.
But here's kind of a thing. Like you were talking about OSHA standards and all that. In this scene, for this part of the movie, they were way screwed because they needed the kid to be there for certain parts of it and not go in for the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
But that actor was over his legal amount of time to be on set. So they scoured that neighborhood. They just went door to door knocking on people's houses until they found a kid that looked close enough. They gave him a quick haircut. That is not the actor in the end of the movie.
What?
That is an extra that just got jacked from a house down the street in that neighborhood. Got a quick haircut and tossed in the movie. So they could keep to legal standards.
I didn't even notice. It never occurred to me that was a different child. Wow.
I thought that was a cool one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Going through the entire house and doing breaking everything. And then just the accidental bump is the thing that did it and revealed it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. Then the brick, finds the brick wall, finds her. And then we get that tooth, which reminds me of that frickin' bathroom scene, which was
Right. Yeah.
wow of a scene. Then the full flash to a very recognizable Jennifer Morrison, and we learn the full story.
Right. Yeah.
The two football brothers, they tried to SA her, and then they wound up accidentally unalive. No, not accidentally. It was it's a rough
Pretty
scene.
intentional. Yeah.
Yeah, the Dunn boys are the worst kind of men. So we find out the full story of what happened to her. The flash is over, and we get to hear the remnants of the kid humming from the beginning. Because the movie opened on the kid humming, and for some reason, when he came out of this flash, we got to hear the same kid humming, and I don't know why. Do you? Is there anything that kind of clicks on that? Like why they would do that?
No, I don't know. That is
I
interesting.
noticed it. I noticed it because like the creepy kid humming is one of the creepiest things in all movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a very safe bet.
Yeah.
That's I didn't know why they did that, and still curious. But okay, like the sound of jackhammering and all that brought one of the Dunn boys over to see Bacon in the basement, and that he.
You know.
And I thought that was great. Like it was actually explainable why somebody was in that window because of all the jackhammering.
Right. Yeah.
Like that was.
It seemed like everybody noticed. You know, that kid was the one who like actually took it the extra mile of going and looking. Probably because
he was justified. He had the reason to go do that. The story made sense all the way through.
Yeah. Yep.
It just kind of did. He goes to get the dad.
Yep.
Show him what happened. Give
He's
him
like,
and tell him so he doesn't find out from anybody else.
Right.
And then we definitely do think that the dad unalived himself because it was just, what were we supposed to do?
Well, and it is interesting because it's like, yeah, we kind of do like that. That's what's interesting about his character, about Dunn's character, is the fact that he is kind of an a-hole throughout the movie. We do find out pretty quickly that he knew about this and helped cover it up. But we're also now finding out that this has been destroying him. Like, he may be an a-hole, but he's not inhuman. He has been dealing with an ungodly amount of guilt throughout this entire thing.
I get that you're calling him an a-hole, and I get that the girl's parents would call him an a-hole, and I get that a lot of people would. What would I have done in that situation? I don't know if I would have done anything different. Like like I want to think that I would do something different. Right. I absolutely would. I would like to give myself that kind of credit, but I also would like to give myself the kind of credit to say that I would never have been a slave owner. You don't know.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
You just don't know who you would have been, who you would be in those situations and everything like that, because you just are looking at it and talking about it with the luxury of not being affected by anything around it.
I see your point there. But when I say a-hole, I don't mean like he's a bad guy. I mean like the fact that he's, constantly...
Oh, Captain Creepy on all the girls and stuff like that?
Exactly.
No, okay, I'll give you that.
I'll
give you that.
We're not... Yeah, we're not meant to be like surprised. Like, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, he's the nicest guy in the world, and it's such a shock that he's involved in this. No. When we find out he's involved in this, we're like, oh, okay, yeah. Now that we get it now.
That guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that. But then Harry and the other brother show up, and I gotta give Harry the performance notes or credit on this one.
Right.
He shows up and he actually does kind of deliver a little bit just like a concerned landlord. But at the same time, he acted too well as like in character. Honestly, the character should not have been able to pull off that level of surprise and concern about his house and all that stuff. That was the actor dominating the character. Like, when you have a truly amazing singer, they have a little bit harder time singing poorly.
True.
Because they are so good at it. this is kind of what I saw there. You had too good of an actor who could not act like a bad one.
Probably true, but on the other hand, like the big giveaway is when he does basically like force his way into the house and walk into the house and sees what Bacon's been doing to that house, ripping the floors up and all that sort of stuff. The fact that he doesn't immediately fly off the handle is the dead giveaway that he's acting. Like that's that's where you know, oh yeah, no, this is clearly an act because he has not lost his temper. He's actually being really, really chill. He's obviously pretending. Like,
where I get that, there was still like there was a moment of genuine, like it felt too genuine, and not like it didn't feel eerie enough because of how genuine it was. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying there, but I guess I didn't get that because there was the really good inclusion of having the kid standing right next to him. The kid that we know did it.
No, the situation. No, hold on.
Yeah.
The situation was perfectly tailored too. I'm talking specifically about the performance. You're going to the situation. I'm saying he gave too legitimate of a performance for the concern over the physical parts of the house that I think that he went too far in on that. Because when he came in, like, no, he wasn't flipping and screaming and stuff like that, but he came in and it seemed like legitimate concern over the house, not what was hidden.
See, I guess I just wasn't, I personally didn't get that because the situation, the kid's sitting there, the kid's looking nervous. We know why he's there. Like, for me, it was more of like, we're looking for a legitimate reason for Bacon to say, get the fuck off my porch without it being like too rude or weird, but he's not giving him that. He's not giving him any excuse to be outwardly suspicious of this guy. And that was kind of the point of the scene, was that if he was just a little bit off, then Bacon would have gone like, I'm calling the cops. I don't think we're talking.
I don't think we're I don't think we're talking about the same thing, because I agree with literally everything that you're saying. I'm saying the performance he gave was not the right one for that scene. The not Bacon. Bacon's performance was right. Not the kid's performance was right. The uncle, I think he gave a slightly different performance than what would have actually been appropriate in that moment, because there was too legitimate of concern that went in there. And that's what I'm saying. I just
didn't see it. Yeah.
You keep coming back with like argument sounding stuff, and I'm not disagreeing with any of it. Which I'm like,
I guess I just didn't see it. Like, I didn't see anything wrong with that scene personally, and I'm just trying to figure out. Yeah. So yeah, that was just it.
Because I believed him over what was happening. Like, I believed him about the wrong things. That's why.
Okay. See, I didn't get that at all. That's the thing. I didn't get that at all. I got the scene what it was supposed to be. I felt anyway.
You know, it got there and it landed and it arrived there, but like I said, it like the concern that he came in, it felt like it went in the wrong direction, and then it roped around really, really quick. So, like I said, the actor delivering the scene appropriate.
Oh, okay.
But the character was not a masterclass actor. So when he came in with the coolest of heads and all and everything like that, that felt inappropriate to the scene, because you have a regular ass dude who just happened to own the house, knew about it, helped cover it up, be this unbelievable like espionage level actor on all of these, oh my God, my house, like all of these things. It felt like he should have had a little bit more to him to actually sell the creep factor, because the average person would not be able to hide that perfectly.
Okay, I guess I disagree.
I'm not saying, I get that you disagree. Stop going into your disagreements. I'm just saying.
I'm done. I'm stopping it. I disagree.
And Erbe shows up in the nick of time and gets the right vibe and a knife. And I like the knife was put in her purse because she was going to meet Neil in that alley and everything like that. Like, every part of this movie was set up perfectly. I will give it that. But then Dunn shows up with the gun, like out of the basement and all that, which we thought he unalived himself because of that single shot when Bacon left.
Is interesting. I'm wondering, like, now I'm wondering what the hell did he shoot?
In my mind, I'm like, did he shoot the girl because he was just mad or something like that? I don't know. But the camera work for the representation of Sam's spirit being freed was gorgeous.
Yeah,
I,
that was
I'm,
very
I'm,
well
like,
done.
very simple cinematography tricks, everything like that.
Yep.
However, it was just that is how you do that.
Yep.
That is a fantastic
Didn't
way of
need
like moving on, being like that was
didn't need to be super flashy, didn't need to be expensive. It was like, we are setting a mood here, and here's a very simple way to do it, effective. Yeah.
and I appreciated it. The line or the what do you call this? Not tagline on a headstone.
Kicker.
I don't know, but like the headstone for the girl that had been missing, our ghost played by Jennifer
Oh, right.
Morrison, it says "at rest," and I thought that was the right thing to put there.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of plain and simple. I thought that was right. I thought that was subtle and clever.
Yep.
And this is where I think they could have had a lot of fun and just had them like in the mountains on the way to Colorado or something like that. Just be really unclear about where they're going from Chicago.
Right. Yeah.
But apparently they just move into the way wrong neighborhood because
Right.
it
Yeah.
sounds like there's a dead body in every single one of these houses.
Right.
All right, so final
That poor
thoughts on
kid,
Stir of
yes.
Echoes.
Final thoughts on Stir of Echoes. Well, it's interesting. I've come to the conclusion, like I said before, I don't think this counts as a horror movie. I think this is an interesting subgenre. It has tension. There are jump scares. I wouldn't call it a horror movie. This is a mystery suspense, and you've got your layers. First, you've got your mystery movies, and that's your gumshoe solving a mystery type thing. Then you've got your mystery suspense, where it's a mystery, but there's still an element of danger, where solving the mystery brings you closer to danger. That's your mystery suspense. This is this sort of like next level subgenre, which Frequency falls into the same category, where the instigating event that both brings our protagonist to the mystery while also bringing our protagonist to the danger is some sort of sci-fi fantasy element, such as ghosts or a radio that talks through time, whatever. This is a whole other subgenre of its own, this sort of mystery suspense / supernatural. Not quite horror, pretty close, but it is its own thing, in my opinion. And I'm actually kind of interested to see how many other movies there are to fit that, because like of my mindset, like this and Frequency are the only ones I can think of now, because they are so alike in that regard. So now I'm like, I need to go on a hunt to find more movies like this, because it turns out I really like them, apparently.
Well, I'm thinking the longer that we go with the show, the more we're going to find like that.
Here's hoping. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. The whole thing.
All right. So jumping into the movie fight is going to be pretty easy and hard, because round one very clearly goes to Stir of Echoes.
Right. Yep.
Round
Definitely
three,
a lot of work put into making us really invested in these people.
Yes. Round three, that goes to the wrong guy. This movie has not had enough acclaim. It is way too funny for how many people have not seen it.
The fact that this is not one of those like household classics alongside,
a lot of Jim Carrey movies.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
No,
like this.
Like I put that as kind of like, no, the one that I'm going to recommend them more going forward is The Wrong Guy. I feel like most people have already seen Stir of Echoes.
Probably, yeah. Yep.
But round two, which one pulled off what it wanted to in a better way? Like, which one just nailed what they were going for? Because here's the thing, they're both perfect in that arena.
Exactly. And it's tough, because it's like a lot of times I would tie break this one on the risks factor. And I don't think I can even do that with this, because in this one, we have the technical risks that Stir of Echoes took, like mostly with the movie theater and stuff like that. But then we also have the risks that Wrong Guy took, in the fact that, like we've said, most of the jokes and the gags in this movie should not have worked. They just did somehow because of the performance or the timing of them worked out so well. Like they both took risks and nailed it. So
the cinematography tricks that Stir of Echoes went with that were way more intense than anything that was tried in Wrong Guy.
right,
Specifically with Jennifer Morrison as the ghost, having her move slow and normal while speeding the camera up to give that kind of ghost effect.
right.
Incredible. The representation of her spirit being freed at the end of the movie, I thought that was absolutely amazing.
Sure.
But also, like, the Woody Allen vibe of The Wrong Guy is just
Mhm.
that is kind of a lost art form. We
Right.
don't really get movies like that, and I feel like this
Top
is
it
one of
off
the
with
last ones.
Right, and top it off with like what you were saying, like the Looney Tunes shit, with a very, like I've been carrying you. I thought you wanted me to. Like no one does shit like that anymore. Just goes like, this
Pretty
is
much
so
just
dumb.
Deadpool.
Right. Well, okay, there's that too, but even then, well, no, okay, I guess that's true. Yeah, it's that whole like, you know, maybe an offhand joke in the writers' room that they go, maybe we should actually go ahead and put it in. Like it felt like an inside joke amongst us here, but let's throw it in and see what happens, and it somehow works. There was a lot of that in Deadpool, but I'd say there was more of that in The Wrong Guy.
I think I'm gonna go with The Wrong Guy on this
Yeah.
one. Um, Stir of Echo. Wait, hold on. The hypnotize scene.
Right.
I'm never gonna forget that. I Creep factor,
Yeah. The
the
building of the
practical
tension.
effects of bringing that stuntman in to really stab himself through the hand.
And even when you get like even just outside the hypnotized scene when he's having the dream where he remembers getting hypnotized, they throw in the third person view of him literally floating through the theater on that
Yeah,
chair.
and that was
That was
really
pretty
good.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, I guess
I think
buy a
this.
buy a
I think
squeaker.
I
I think we're gonna have to go with Stir of Echoes on that one. Buy a nose.
really want to give The Wrong Guy a lot of credit.
That's the thing. Like that is a movie that has been missed out on that more people should see.
All right, all right. Stir of Echoes, for the win, but that was close.
Yeah.
Which
No, so
having two movies that are so wildly different be that close is
yeah. Which I guess that just kind of
wow.
like we mentioned before, like, Liar Liar, if you are like Liar Liar and Wrong Guy would make a great Jennifer Tilly double feature.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah, absolutely. I'd easily give you that. Yeah, God, like, why didn't she star in more stuff though? Because she's a side character in both those movies.
yeah. I think
She
probably her
nails it.
biggest I think her biggest starring moment is probably the Chucky movies. Ever since she became Bride of Chucky,
Oh,
I think that's been like her main go-to thing. I think you could almost say she's like semi-retired. She basically just comes out of
she's a
retirement
voice
every
actor.
yeah, she comes out she'll do a Chucky movie every couple of years and that's all she needs to do. She's happy now.
I mean,
And then she spends
really,
the rest of her time playing poker.
look at all the I mean, she has residuals on thousands of episodes of stuff. She's
Yeah,
doing fine.
she's fine. Yep.
All right, so that's going to be Stir of Echoes is going to take it for this one. I have an idea for a lot of the ones that I don't want to call them the losers because they're too good to be called losers.
Right.
But the ones that don't make it to the tournament, I have an idea. But we'll
Okay.
talk about that after. Um, but I do have a little bit of a challenge for you because I brought you the Halloweeny movie
Right.
this week. What do you got for me that's more spooky, more October themed?
Oh, well, that wasn't what I had in mind for today, but I do have something on my list for that.
Well, I figured you should be like, I mean, I know how uncomfortable you are with horror movies, and I keep pushing them to you. Maybe you should just tell me one of the ones that you're like, that you like, and we'll go with that.
Okay, in that case, probably if there is such a thing as a favorite scary movie for me, this is it. And it's called Arachnophobia. You've seen Arachnophobia, right?
Oh, yeah. I think this is our fourth John Goodman movie that we're doing on the channel.
Maybe more. This may be number 5. Because here's the funny thing. Before you said I wanted a scary movie, the movie I was going to recommend also has John Goodman in it.
Okay, so why don't we do a John Goodman double feature then?
Oh, yeah? You want to do both my recommendations?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh,
because
you've got a John
movie,
Goodman.
There's a movie I've been trying to show you since before we ever even started this show.
Oh, I know where this is going. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Let's get some royalty in this with King Ralph.
Okay.
Show you what an American in the 80s who would have been king of England would have been like.
Okay.
Also,
King Ralph
this is not like, yeah, there are moments in King Ralph that are that should be absolutely iconic. Anybody who has seen it will basically go and like bring up the scene. It's awesome.
Okay.
I am very excited for covering that one with you. So, all right, next week is a double feature for John Goodman, King Ralph and Arachnophobia.
All right. Live long and prosper, everyone.
Thanks for joining us, guys.